Hello, my name is Michelle Walters Johnson, and I'm also known as the lady behind the wig. Today I'm here to talk about what is alopecia and what is it in my own experience. I'm dealing with alopecia since it's been about 22 years now. And when I first started having alopecia, I didn't even recognize it for what it was. My hair, I used to have about shoulder length hair, nice and thick, natural hair. I used to use a lot of relaxers and different chemical treatments and styled my hair in I had so many options. I loved getting my hair done. When I started to have alopecia, my hair started to thin out a lot. And my experience with that was very gradual. I've been blessed, I suppose, where losing my hair was not a consistent, everyday process. I didn't have the situation where I was pulling gobs of hair. I wasn't losing hair. I never saw hair in the shower and things of that nature. So mine was gradual. And I want to say that it took about almost 10 years, 5 to 10 years for me to get to the point where I'm at. No, about 10 years to get to the point I'm at now. So my hair, for me, what started happening was I would have one spot here, hair missing from the spot, grow that back. Then I would have a bald spot here, grow that back. And eventually it started thinning up here. At one point I had a lot of hair, maybe from here down, but back here was just thinning. And now you can see it's to the point where you can really just see just a few hairs at the front. And you know what, for real though, for me, as long as I had this, just my hairline, I was fine, because for me, that meant I could blend. So what I learned to do was I learned how to buy partial wigs and blend the partial wig in with my natural hair. I'm creative, and I learned how to put my own extensions in and things of that nature. Number 2 says, what is the most important piece of advice to give to someone who is experiencing hair loss? Most important piece of advice I could give to someone that's experiencing hair loss would be to take a deep breath. Of course, here's the key word there, loss. When you are experiencing a loss to whatever it may be, we of course are going to have that adrenaline rush, that fear of flight feeling where we just feel like we don't know what to do, we're anxious. And that's perfectly natural. I think it's natural to understand what I'm going through, to understand and want to know, and to even be obsessed about it. But I don't think it's a good thing to obsess about it. So my advice would be, feel the feelings, feel the fear, feel the anxiety, but use that to fuel you to gain more information and knowledge about what you're going through. Definitely talk to your primary care doctor, have them run tests, because sometimes it could be due to how, I know in the African American community, a lot of women deal with traction alopecia. So I have the exact opposite. So a lot of women lose all the hair here first. I, to this day, still grow hair right here. A lot of women lose all of that hair and then have all the hair back here. And it's because of the weaves and the wigs and the different things they do, and they're not being done correctly. And it's not always healthy for your hair to do it that way all the time. So my point is though, that I would definitely do your research. You can go online and do all the research you want. You can go in different Facebook groups, or you can follow different people on social media, and that's helpful. But just know that everything doesn't work for everybody, and everybody does not have the same type of alopecia, nor do they have the same results. I have watched women who have lost all of their hair completely, all over their entire body, and then it all came back, and then it fell out again. And then there are people who've been able to slow it down and to catch it so that it's not all gone. And then there's people like me who didn't know what to do and got creative, but never really tackled what was going on with my hair or what was going on the inside of me. So go to your primary care doctor, get them to run the blood work, get them to test to see if there's any kind of autoimmune deficiencies, maybe your iron levels are off. There could be so many different things that's going on with your body. In my situation, that's not the answer. That's not the reason. I still want to say I attribute it a lot to stress, because I used to, maybe still do, hold a lot of things in, and I don't, you can't keep holding stuff in. That's toxic. Of course, you don't have to be a mean and nasty person and always blurt out everything you think or everything you feel, but you have to learn how to balance things, and you have to learn how to be able to eliminate stress. What I would recommend is definitely hitting a doctor. But the other thing I would want to recommend is self-care. Don't be so hard on yourself. Take the time out. If that means going to therapy, if you're already going to therapy, maybe talk to your therapist about what's going on with your hair and how you feel and what's happening to you. Definitely look for support. If your family's not supportive, sometimes they're not supportive because they just don't understand it. They're not going through it. But then, maybe you need to reach out to other people. Like I said, there are support groups on Facebook, and there are support groups in person. So reach out and find out what is out there, and you will realize you are not alone in this journey. And going to a doctor, he or she may say, okay, I can't find anything internally that's wrong with you, but you may want to go check out a dermatologist. You might also want to check out what's called a trichologist. Trichology has become a trend, I think, in the last maybe 6 or 7 years. I didn't personally hear about it until about 3 years ago. But you want to check out trichology. The major difference, they both study skin and scalp, dermatologists and trichologists do, but the main difference is that dermatologists can prescribe medication. I don't believe trichologists can. But they have different treatments and different things that they can do as well. And they also, if the ones that are really good, are good at assessing what else is going on with you and can be able to make recommendations and help you with natural supplements and things of that nature. Number 3, what is one of the most challenging experiences you have had related to your hair loss journey, and how did you overcome? Wow. I think I was more acceptable of my alopecia, believe it or not. Like, it was happening to me, but I never took that to be like, oh my God, my world is ending. I was sad about it. Don't get me wrong. I did have my moments. Of feeling the fear, the loss, the anxiety, but I didn't let it totally consume me. I really, because I found creative ways to deal with it, used it as a way to express myself. So then I was like, well, if I'm going to have to wear wigs and weaves and all this stuff, then all those colors that I wanted to try before that I didn't try because I didn't want to mess up my hair, well, I'm going to try them. All of those different things. That's what I was going to do. Learned how to make my own wigs, and I was able to express myself creatively through the wigs and the weaves and the different things that I wore. But the most difficult part, I think, for me was feeling shamed, not wanting my family to feel ashamed. So my children were little, and there was a time in my life where I didn't want anyone to see me with my head like this. Like, I didn't want anyone to see me with my head uncovered, including my husband, including my children. And then I would let my husband see, but it was only going to be briefly. Like, I always had something on my head. And so I always felt like they were going to be embarrassed. I was going to embarrass them. I was going to shame them. And I didn't think that they deserve to feel shamed because of their parents. But this is the funny thing. How did I overcome that? As time went on, and as I got support, as I was able to see that I'm not alone, as time went on, and as well, I changed my mindset. I've learned how to change my way of thinking, not just about alopecia, but a lot of things in my life. And I realized that this doesn't have to be the end, and it doesn't have to stop me from being the great person that I am. I recognize there are women out there right now who don't want to date, or who are even shrinking in their marriages. They're so depressed and so consumed by losing their hair. And I understand it. It makes sense. I get it. But one thing I would definitely encourage people to do is to learn how to change your perspective. Maybe that means you got to get into a good book that is teaching you and showing you how to overcome. There are a lot of things. There's so many things on Amazon, so many books on Amazon, your local library, Audible, so many things. Maybe affirmations were very helpful for me. Reading self-help books. I say quote unquote because really a lot of the books that I read were more spiritual in nature, Christian in nature, not really spiritual. And they were helping me learn who I am as a person and whose I am and what my abilities are. And that helped me to change my perspective on how I look on things in life, period. So I really encourage you to take a different approach, to change your mindset and your perspective, the way that you look at alopecia. This year, I got the opportunity to march with a group of women that all have some form of alopecia or hair loss. And it was so, oh my God, it was so amazing. And it was so, it just opened up my eyes, and it was so empowering. Like, I'd already set myself free a couple of years ago. I don't always walk around bald. In fact, most of the time, most people see me, I always have on a wig. but except for in the house or when, whatever. But the point is, this was the first time that I had been surrounded by so many women that were bald. And they were so like, who cares? Like, nobody cares. This is me. I love me and I love you. And it made me cry because it was just so inspiring. So how to overcome this? Again, get around some good supportive women, supportive men, change your perspective, change your mindset about this. This is not happening to you, but it's happening for you, and it can allow you to grow and allow you to learn different people. And then also do your research and find out if you don't want to walk around bald. So I'm a person, like right now I'm showing to you, I'm not completely shaven bald. You can see that I have some here, but I'm kind of showing you me, my natural me. But I love wearing wigs. And so you're not going to see me a lot with myself bald because I just love wearing wigs. And honestly, to be honest, when I shave my hair, it hurts. So I haven't found a routine yet that doesn't hurt me a couple of days later. So my point is, I just love wearing wigs. It works for me, and that's what I do. But there are some women who are tired. They feel like they're hiding behind the wigs. They feel like they're not being authentic. And so I encourage them to embrace who they are and embrace who they are, and also show up authentically. And guess what? If your husband, your wife, whoever doesn't want to accept you, that's really their problem. That's really their problem. So I hope that this was empowering and inspiring and, a blessing to you. Again, my name is Michelle Walters, Lady Behind the Wig. Thank you, Michelle Walters, Lady Behind